Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter.
461.
It is the first day of the Week the Kamehameha workout. I feel very good right now. Very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today. People that have life kind of just happen to them. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because this was a conversation that happened with me and my coworker the other day, and how I just said that to her and she was like, yeah, that happens to me. And it got me thinking a lot about that. The idea that certain people, life just happens to them. And there's a lot of different ways that this can go, because I think that it's not, personally, I don't think it's good, but also at the same time, I'm very will to power type of person. I have the will of my own. I do believe in fate in certain aspects of things, but I think that we have the ability to control it as much as we can, within our power. So there is a little bit of that in there that I'll probably get into a little bit later, at least. But this episode is mostly going to look at I would say, people that are more fair weather within their lives. So they are shown opportunities and they kind of not necessarily go for it, but more so allow life to come to them rather than go towards and chase something. Now, this isn't a slight against these people, because this happens. I think it's like really just one or two ways of people that are like that. They are the commandeering, dominant, those who are trying to take as much power as they can from the universe, and or the other side where they let the universe take control and allow the world to shape them around the world's fingertips. So I personally am not the fan of the second one, but also at the same time understand why the second one happened. So there are a lot of different reasons why it happened. So that's why in today's episode, we're going to be looking at that, a few things that go in between, my reasons as to why I don't go that way, as well as the idea of what happens, to some of these people, because there are tragedies on both ends that can happen and make it so that both sides can be wasted. But in theory, if perpetuality goes well, in theory, they are pathways that can work. It's just, how is the issue, or how is the question, right? And either way, there is a bad way that these things can turn out. So with that being said, I will see you at Mother Base.
All right, so started this day off with dips, which are pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. When life sort of just happens to someone. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because this was a conversation I had with my coworker, my old one at this point, a while ago, where we were talking about just life sort of happening to people, and she felt like she was one of those types of people. And it's an interesting thing, because I personally am not a fan of this type of ideal in a certain sense, because you end up taking a back seat to your whole life, really, where the life happens to you. We'll get back to why I don't like it, but we'll get there. I think that personally, the question is, why does this happen to people? What is it that goes on? Like, is it the way that they're living, the way that they naturally grow up? Maybe a little bit more of a natural inclination to be more sheltered, or a little bit more introverted in comparison to being an extrovert out there? Could it be a more carefree existence, a little bit more of a I don't care, a little bit more of a letting life happen around them and letting it kind of not spiking their cortisol idea? Or maybe they're scared. They're scared of certain things that may or may not be happening to them. The will that may be weak, or possibly other reasons why. Maybe because there is a lack of a inner monologue that kind of drives them, those types of things. And the real reason why this is a very interesting thing to me personally is because, regardless of the reason, I don't think that there is a valid enough point in order for there to not be some type of input upon yourself, really. I think that a lot of people end up lulling themselves into something like this because of other things, like just societal pressures or pressures from the family and things like that, where if they've stuck themselves out, they get squashed back in, which of course is a bummer. I'm not going to diminish that happening, but at the same time, instead of trying to get back out there, they will just stay squished. And a lot of the time, that's where they will get taken advantage of. And I think that that's the big thing, is that a lot of the time when people end up letting their lives just happen around them, usually there are others that will take advantage of that very frequently. And I think that that's very obvious to those who will take advantage of these types of people, because they know that they can impose their will upon them. And I think that that's the biggest drawback of doing something like this. Sure, you may be able to relax, chill, live a carefree life, a naive type of care through existence type of deal, but At the same time, something like this will cause more issues at the end of the day, because you'll never really truly know if these people are actually in it for you for the good, or just using you for whatever their nefarious needs may need, and most of the time this just ends up happening naturally to certain people. But of course, it's interesting to even discuss it with them, because are you going to be the one that tells them, hey, people are going to take advantage of you, I can take advantage of you, because you don't have a inner will or a inner monologue or a type of will to put out there in your life? Of course, you could say no and all these other things, these things that are surface level, but if fundamentally speaking, you aren't an actual person and you're just letting life happen wherever, then letting the cards lie where they might lie, then are you really doing anything? Are you truly in the driver's seat? Are you really doing much? Maybe you're a co-pilot and not even realizing it, with somebody else being the pilot. You might be doing certain things that at the end of the day might be helpful, but aren't actually in control at the end of the day. It's very interesting that people will end up doing this style, and then really some people will actually never take the blame for things because they're so passive in certain things. And I think that that's the other reason why I don't like it, is because there's a certain hands-off approach on life, which is terrible, because then they'll blame other things in their life for things going wrong instead of themselves, when they have full control of the things that they do. Of course, there are things like peer pressure and social pressures and all those things, parental pressures, all those things do exist, obviously. I'm not going to minimize those things, but at the same time, just making it so that you're absolved of the responsibilities of life and making sure that you pull out your will out there is asinine. I think that you have to be able to do that. You have to go out there and metaphorically grab the bull by the horns. You have to be able to do something like that, because if you don't, then you will always be the person that is taken advantage of or being pushed down, where they will never be able to have the strength in order to stick out their neck for something, and then thus they will be forever be able to be controlled no matter what happens, and that's not a good thing at all. I think that, so for some, it might be a natural instinct. It's something that they just grow, it's innate with them, something like a introvert that just doesn't like to be out there. But even those people may have a strong constitution within themselves, but if they don't actually push it out, it doesn't necessarily matter. Something that is embedded within them, of course, may not matter if it doesn't actually protect them from the outside world. I think a lot of this ends up becoming preempted by a lot of society in order to make it so that there are movies and all these other things where life happens to characters. And so these people are basically psyoped into thinking that, oh, this character had life all of a sudden happen to them, so I should do the same, and not really worry about being too aggressive in making changes for myself, and become very passive and not really actually wanting to go out there and make the change themselves. And then they end up being basically fucked over from all of the influences from the outside to just sit there and wait with what is essentially a thumb up their ass, just waiting for the next thing to actually make an influence in their life to come through, when in reality that's not going to happen. And more likely than not, it's going to be somebody who has ill intentions for them, more likely than not, because they will see and smell the fear or meekness that these people have and just take advantage of it.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped. Actually, exercise not filmed. We have one, actually. The upper chest. My right shoulder is a little funky, so I did very lightweight. But no exercises skipped. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Having life just kind of happen to you. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because, like I said, I had that conversation with my coworker, and it made me realize that in my life I was like that at a certain point. I think that I was waiting for the world to kind of happen to me, and it took a lot of reading, self-reflection, and realizing that that is not how I personally have the ability to dedicate myself into this world and put myself out there. That can and does happen to people. You can have life happen to you and you can be fine, but I don't think that it is a common thing, nor it is something that most people should bank on. I think a lot of stories and popular media do an idea of life just happening to happen to people, or having predestiny, kind of just throw themselves into some grand arcing plan or whatever, when in reality you kind of have to go out there and do it on your own, and you have to take the power that you can and you've been given, whatever it is, and try to maximize it as much as you can. And I think that realizing that shift has been such a great thing, because now I can actually go out and get what I want and be prepared, you know. I think of the verbiage of good things come to those who wait. Yes, that is true, but good things come to those who wait and can accept the good things is the full idea of it, because you can be at the right place at the right time, but your mindset might not be at the right place at the right time. So if life happens to happen for you in your favor, but you aren't ready for that favor, then you're just fucked. You've just let go of an opportunity that probably could possibly might not ever come back. And because of your disposition of letting life just happen to you, and it's already happened once, you're going to hope that something else comes along, but realistically that was the one time that life just happened to happen for you, and now you've missed the train. And I think that that's the biggest issue with it that I see with it personally, is that I seeing the train that leaves and not realizing that that was it. Now you have to change your worldview and be about the grabbing your own destiny, being whatever you can, whatever power you have in order to get across whatever you want in life, rather than letting life throw you in its winds. And it's very saddening to see the other side, because there are people out there that will hope and pray for something to happen before realizing it's too late, and then you're fucked. I mean, like, there are so many people you see even in something like the dating world where they hope to find something where life just throws them a partner that they're going to love forever, when in reality it doesn't work like that. They might have had that shot 10-15 years ago, but now it's not like that anymore. You have to now pick up the pieces because you refused the one time that life decided to throw it to you, and now life is saying fuck you and moving on. And I think that's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is necessarily a bad ideal, because for certain people it does actually work, because certain people will take up the mantle the moment that they receive it. But it also depends on their personality and what characteristics they show out there. Certain people are very impulsive, but in a good way, in a certain sense, where they will be able to impulse their way into better situations for themselves, even though it's not necessarily something with impulsive in nature. But at the same time, these things can happen. But the thing is, these people are more rare than we would like to admit, especially if you believe that you are a person that's floating by in life and letting life control you. You're not really, I don't think that necessarily impulse would be the most biggest thing that you have as a good quality. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but still, that's the issue, right? It's like you're going to go and try to let the world happen to you. But if you keep doing that, it's just going to end in a point where the world's going to stop happening for you, and then you're going to be stuck somewhere. And being stuck somewhere is fine if you're like 22 or 23. Being 32 and 33 stuck somewhere is a completely different story, because then at that point you have to figure out how to live what is essentially 10 years of life and basically 2, so that way you can start actually figuring shit out, because now everything is truncated, and there's no stopping time. So good luck with that. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. If you know anybody that kind of has life just kind of happen to them, or if you are a person that has life just kind of happen to them, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this. Specifically, if you have if you have a person that is life have happened to them and they might have missed that moment, the train that allowed them to possibly go into a different world, but they ended up missing it, and then they're stuck. But I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about that. Or stories. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there and stay warm. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.